Here are some different types of court cases that can be found in a litigation environment. These are all subject to mediation, they're subject to the rules of the court, and most of these are civil type cases, but there's also criminal and family law cases. The first type of case you normally see is what's called a tort claim. A tort is a wrongful act or a damaging act that causes somebody to lose out on something. It could be injury, it could be loss of money, it could be damage to property, it could also be negligence that causes you harm. These types of court claims are where a person or company did some action or inaction which resulted in you losing out, being injured, being damaged, or losing property. Some of these have to do with medical malpractice, car accidents, defamation, negligence, personal injury, battery on a person, and any of those can cause you damage or harm. And those damages could be immediate, they could be long-term, they could be loss of work, they could be medical expenses, and those are the types of tort claims that you normally see in a lawsuit. Another type of case is a breach of contract. What happens there is if you have an agreement with somebody or an arrangement or some type of contractual obligation and you don't follow through on it, that can also cause damage to the other person. It could cause them from not realizing the results of that arrangement or partnership. It could result in them from not having a job completed or not having their bills paid. Maybe you purchased some inventory or goods from a company and they didn't deliver it. That could have caused you losses. So breach of contract is not necessarily the same as a tort claim, but it does cause damage to the third party. And that may be something that can be resolved either by paying damages or a suit for specific performance, where you're asking the court and the judge to force the other party to go through with their deal. And that would have the same result as giving you the money. Now remember, we're not attorneys, we're not giving you legal advice, we're just giving you some examples of the types of cases that come up in mediation, insurance, and even investigations. Another type of case is an equitable claims case. It's usually where the court is asked to level the playing field, right? There may be something that is about to happen that could cause damage to somebody. It may be something that a business is harming a competitor. And a case where there's an equitable claim is asking the court to stop that from happening or to reverse what's already happened. Many times this has to do with a potential loss that has started but is not complete yet, and the court can step in to keep it from escalating. Another type of civil case that you see a lot is landlord-tenant cases, where you have a property owner that's claiming that their tenant is not fulfilling their lease, they're not paying their rent, they're causing damage, they're doing something in breach, and the other party, the tenant, is saying, no, I don't want to be evicted because I have claims as well, or I want to get my security deposit back, or I want more notice. Those types of cases are often in civil case or civil court. Some jurisdictions have a separate landlord-tenant docket where it's done separately in the civil part, but it's something that is a very specific type of case. Now you also have family law cases. Those are things like divorce, child support, visitation, even probate or death in the family cases are part of the family law docket in most jurisdictions. Those are designed to resolve conflicts, usually about money, right? If you have a divorce, how do you distribute the assets of the couple? If you have a family that's dissolving, who pays for child support? Who pays for spousal maintenance, alimony, those types of things? What is the correct amount? And how do you evaluate the assets for that party to be distributed properly? In some cases, there's non-monetary results like visitation, custody, decisions on where the child is going to go to school, who's going to care for them in the off time. Those can be resolved by family cases. Probate cases are often overlooked, but there's a lot of conflict in family law cases. And many times these can be resolved through mediation or arbitration. But family law cases, again, involve a lot of emotions because there's family members that are fighting over the distribution of assets for a deceased person. Look, if your children in a family and your last remaining parent dies, there's already going to be emotions about that, and now you have to decide who's supposed to get what assets. And if one family member thinks they need to get more than they're entitled to, that's where the conflicts come in, especially when one of the family members is trying to take more than they're entitled to, maybe improperly, maybe without proper court intervention. So a family law case in the probate side can be just as intense as one on the divorce or child support side. The last type of case that you'll see in many jurisdictions is a criminal case. Well, that's when somebody is charged with a crime, and the deciding factor there is guilt or innocence, and then sentencing. So if somebody's arrested for burglary, the court is there to decide, did they commit the crime? Is there evidence that points to them being guilty of that beyond a reasonable doubt? And if there is, what is the penalty after conviction? What is their sentence going to be? Many times those are resolved through a plea bargain, which is a form of mediation or settlement, but sometimes it goes to a jury, and then the judge has to decide what is the penalty. Those are the basic types of court cases that you'll see, and we'll talk in the next video about what are the stages of each type of trial, from the pretrial all the way to verdict and distribution.